welcome to the Bob Priest Show of Life podcast. I'm your host, Bob Priest. Thanks for tuning in today's show. This podcast is dedicated to individuals and professionals who desire to learn more about the subject of health and wellness, as well as alternative technologies to better health and vitality. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the Bob Priest Show of Life podcast. I'm your host, Bob Priest. Thanks for tuning in to today's show. My guest today is Johanna Gordon. Hi, Johanna.
Hi.
How are
It's
you
actually
today?
Johanna.
Okay,
It's
I'll say
Johanna.
Johanna. I have a friend
Yeah.
that's named Johanna, so I'm sorry.
It's not a
Johanna.
problem. Not a problem. People say that all the time. So I'm
Well,
doing well.
good. Well, you know, my name's Bob, and you could spell it both ways. Um, I understand you're in the health and wellness business as a coach. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Well, that's awesome. So what brought you to do what you do today?
Well, how far do you want me to go back?
Well, that's up to you. This is your show today. I'm just your host.
Okay. Okay. Well, I will start from the beginning then. I have twin boys. They were born in 2005. So in 2008, I had a complete hysterectomy. 2010, I just gained like 30 pounds in a year and went to the doctor. I have Hashimoto's disease. So here I am, I want to say, I think I was like 31 at that time, woman who has had a complete hysterectomy, has hypothyroidism. So I thought it has to be hormone related, surely. So I go to the doctor and get the typical, like, well, you're just getting older. Well, that's just what happens. And I didn't want to accept that. So I started to clean up my diet. I eliminated processed foods as much as I could. I I didn't necessarily eat the standard American diet, but I drank Cokes, I ate what I wanted to eat. So I just cleaned up my diet. I started working out on a regular basis, and health and wellness just kind of became a passion of mine. Um, I didn't really do anything with it at that point other than just like for my personal self. I just really never looked back on clean eating. So fast forward a few years later, um, my mom started dealing with alcoholism. And as a result, I kind of severed our relationship. As you can imagine, it was just extremely painful and emotionally just a lot to deal with. Um, so we were pretty estranged for a couple of years.
Sure.
And then she sent me a text out of the blue one day asking me to call her. So I called her. And I have a sister. I have one sister. So she shared with us that she had been diagnosed with cancer. This was sometime in September of 2019. So she was diagnosed on September 9th and she died November 9th. And so we really never had an opportunity to repair the relationship. I don't know that we could have anyway, because I think the alcoholism, along with the cancer, had done some irreversible damage. And she was angry, spiteful, bitter. And unfortunately, that's the way that she died. So, as a result of all of this, it kind of sent me into an existential crisis.
Rightly
So
so. Yeah.
yeah, it was just a lot, and it was all of a sudden, and it just, it was just um, a very difficult time to say the least. So I, started on a path of healing, and through different therapeutic avenues, I found purpose in helping others, which, so it's kind of funny how it all ended up. I had been to Colorado to this retreat. So, one of the things that the therapist there, she had advised me to meditate, to make a list of the things that come into my head, like my passions, my interests that, when I'm meditating. So, I had done that, and I received an email from a wellness spa that I had been to, and it was just saying, hey, come see us. And I was just looking through their list of services again. I was just trying to think, what all did they do there? And I saw health coach, and I thought, what is a health coach? So I started reading about it, and I was like, oh my gosh. So when I compared the description of a health coach to my list of interest and passions, it they just aligned. And I thought, I've got to do this. So I enrolled in the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and got certified. And then the rest is history. I've been working as a certified health coach since April of last year.
That is so cool. Isn't it interesting that when you kind of, I call it going on your walkabout, uh,
Hmm.
but you go on your little walkabout to find yourself and kind of deal with some of the past, and you learn to write things down on a list. Because I've always heard if you'll write your goals down, and writing things, anything down on a list keeps that not only coming out of your head, but into the paper for you to read and see. So it impacts our visual as well as our mental. And then from that, you're reading this post that has pretty much everything lined out of what you're looking for.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. I like that
Yeah.
story. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what integrative wellness is and how has it played such a big role in your life? You've kind of touched on that, but
Hmm.
now you've kind of you've found your niche, and now you're going to really start expanding that. You've gotten your certification. Now tell us how integrative wellness really works.
So in in my opinion, integrative wellness it kind of meets Western. It's the marriage between Eastern and Western medicine. So it's understanding that health and wellness is, not just eating right or working out. It's a mind, body, spirit relationship. So it's it's striving for to be the best version of yourself, whatever that looks like. So, um, in your circle of life, you have your career, your relationships, your finances, your spirituality, the list goes on. So it's understanding that you are never going to have a perfect circle, meaning that, on a satisfaction level from 1 to 10, not everything's going to be a 10 all the time.
Right.
So, but it's finding that balance. It's striking that balance in your life, in your physical self, in your emotional self. It's finding that balance
Mhm.
to where it goes hand in hand. When you feel good emotionally, it inspires you to want to take care of yourself physically, and vice versa. Vice
Right.
versa.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, when we have all those aspects that are kind of in sync with one another, mental, spiritual, emotional, physical. Because I know when I don't, I, when my physical well-being seems to be down, if maybe didn't get to the gym like I needed to for several days in a row, then it seems to affect my mental thought process. And
Exactly.
it's kind of, they all go hand in hand, don't they?
For sure.
Now, do you
definitely they did.
integrate any of the natural remedies, or do you recommend certain supplementation and things like that within your practice? Or
I don't do any necessarily like recommendations like supplements or anything like that. The things that um I would say push for is clean eating for one. I always try and meet people where they're at.
right,
So it's really like what is the best, what is the most available thing to you, what is accessible to you, what is achievable to you in your life, in your circumstance. So meeting people where they're at. um, for me, it's just, like I said, it clean eating, getting regular movement, and that doesn't mean going to the gym every day. That means if you take a walk, if you do yoga, if you swim, if organic movement is wonderful, and I think that's when I'm most happiest. That's the kind of exercise that I like to get. So, like I said, whatever that looks like for you. Um, Food can heal you, or food can kill you. So there's a doctor, he's a functional medicine doctor, Dr. Mark Hyman, and he says that the standard American diet is responsible for the standard American disease. So I definitely encourage people to understand that there is a lot you can do to prevent diagnosis or to possibly reverse diagnosis, um, with just your habits and
right.
your behavior, your habits.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I have a good doctor friend that's a functional doctor, and he actually he's from Duke University, had training from there, but he actually stepped out of doing regular medical work and moved into a functional doctor standpoint, and kind of more of a concierge type thing. That's kind of seems to be a big movement now in the area. But he makes those same kind of comments. But I like your comment about the how to help yourself stay healthy. It doesn't have to necessarily be in the gym. It's a matter of finding what works into your lifestyle, and but be consistent with that, whether it's walking, whether it's doing gardening on a regular basis, or a combination of all the above. I think that's good because that usually can fit into most people's lives.
Exactly. And if you like it, then you're more apt to do it on a regular basis.
Yeah, I agree. When I enjoy doing it, it's something I want to go back and do again. Plus, I like the way it makes me feel when I finished it.
Yes, yes. So it's habit stacking. It's taking it's not about making the quantum leap from where you're at to where you want to be or where you need to be. It's the journey. It's being present in every moment, and it's taking small, mm, they seem small, but they're actually huge. And again, habit stacking, and just building on those things that promote a more balanced, healthier lifestyle.
Right. It's just establishing good habits.
Exactly.
So, I'm sure you've had numerous clients. Can you think of a story of a client's success that maybe you could share with us?
I can. I have a I had a client. She came to me with type 2 diabetes. So she actually was um on keto. She had started keto without coaching, with not a ton of luck. So together we implemented like a meal plan. She did get regular movement. She was already working out when we met. But together, through diet and exercise, and I wouldn't want to say relaxation, but decompressing. I think that's an important thing to mention, learning how to decompress. She was able to lower her glucose levels to get in the normal range.
Well, that's awesome.
So yes, that was um, and reduce her medication. So that was good. That was exciting and that was great to be a part of.
Well, I know for me, I've since I was 22 years old, and I'm 23 now, as you can see.
I
Um,
thought you didn't look a day over
yeah, I know.
21.
Boy. But I had problems with blood pressure, but I have since over time learned that a lot of it was just learning how to relax, how to allow myself to just sit back and, so to speak, chill a little bit, allows those blood vessels to open up, and that's made a huge difference. But
Yeah,
there's so many great things in alternative medicines, holistic, integrative, functional, that I've learned over the years that just make a lot of sense. And we just don't always have to go pop a pill to get better.
it,
'Cause to be honest
right.
with you, they don't necessarily get us better. They just create other problems.
Yeah, I have to agree. I like to say the peace is in the pause. So
That's a
it's
nice one.
yeah,
That'd be a good,
learning.
that'd be a good book for you to write.
There you go.
The pieces in the pause.
The peace is in the pause. So, I and this is coming from somebody who wore their shoulders as earrings for many years. So, I
I'm writing
I've
your
had
book title down for you.
okay, perfect.
So, what are some things that differentiate you from other coaches doing similar work? So, for our viewers and our listeners that are looking for somebody, why would they want to come see you compared to some others?
Well, honestly, Bob, I can't necessarily say that I specialize in anything. There's a lot of coaches out there who specialize in different things, hormonal health, gut health, menopause, I can speak to a lot of things, but I don't necessarily specialize in anything. I think for me, my biggest asset in terms of coaching is providing a non judgmental, safe space for people to, um, you know, really get to the heart of why they've developed certain habits or coping mechanisms and understanding that, because I think awareness is the key to any change. 45% of what we do every day is out of complete habit. As much as we think we're in charge of everything we're doing, we're not. So without awareness, you're just kind of going through the motions. So once you're aware of, okay, wait, or, your triggers, oh, when this happens, this is when I normally do A, but I'm fully aware of this. So I'm going to do B today. And so, promoting awareness and really just giving someone the space to, um, verbalize. I think verbalizing your story sometimes and understanding that you're not alone, um, and that nothing's wrong with you. And when you can verbalize, the way that maybe an unhealthy a habit that doesn't serve you, when it started, why it started, and understanding that I don't live that story anymore, so I can let this go. Um, I think is very beneficial. And so back to your question, I think that that's one of the best things that I can offer as a coach.
I like that. You and I have had a couple of, I guess, 3 or 4 different conversations as we first met and have gotten to this point. And the one thing I've liked about you is just your nice, calm demeanor and the way that we just have a nice chat. It's nice it's nice to be on a Zoom call, being able to look back and forth at each other, and so we can watch our facial expressions and so on. But
Right.
myself, I've learned that telling the story, the story that maybe helped me get from where I was to where I am today, and listening to that story many times over, it kind of helps us to process what we've been through. Because you told us a story early in this conversation, and that was very hurtful. And to be able to come out and actually share that with hopefully millions of people, um, can help somebody. So I found that being transparent, people like transparency. And I think one of the good things about a coach is somebody that's transparent, not only with themselves, but they'll also help that person that's trying to grow and learn and become different to see what they need to become transparent about. So I like that. I think that's a differing,
Exactly. Being
uh,
relatable.
being relatable, and everybody finds their own person that helps them. But I like that that's what you do. Um, so we've talked about your background and what you're doing presently. You also have a website that I've looked at, and tell us about the title of your website and what kind of things our listeners can see on there.
The title is Food Mood Gratitude. So that kind of
Say it one more
embodies,
time because you broke up just a little bit.
okay, it's foodmoodgratitude.com.
Okay, and tell us what we can see on there. What things might help us if we go to your website.
I'm cut
Am I cutting
okay,
out too?
a little
Uh,
bit.
Tell us about your website. What types of things will we see on there?
Okay, so it will give you a description of what, because, like, I mean, I assume there's other people out there like me that go, "What is a health coach? What does a health coach do?" So it gives you a description of that, as well as my credentials, like where I studied, what I studied. Um, it just kind of gives you, I mean, that's really it. There, I have some client testimonials on there. You can sign up for a free consultation. I do offer a free 30-minute consultation, for people to see if, health coaching is something that would be beneficial to them, and also if it would be beneficial coming from me, if they feel comfortable with me. So you can go on there and do all of that. And the title just kind of embodies everything that I try to, what's the word? Uh, did
Aspire.
I? Yes, there you go. Thank you. Yes, exactly. Food, mood, and gratitude, because I think that, um, gratitude, having a position of gratefulness is a great place to come from. When you're looking at what's going right instead of what's going wrong, you are likely to be in a better state of mind,
Yeah,
and which comes in mood. And then, of course, food is just making good choices, because when you're, nurturing and nourishing your body with good things, then you also, it promotes good mood.
yeah. That I love that title. When I one of our last conversations, and you told me about your website, that just made me want to go look at it. And folks, I've talked to Johanna a couple different times, and what I love about this lady is she always has this big smile on her face, and she's just really, really a neat person to have conversation with. So, as we wrap up this podcast today, what would you like your listeners to take away from this episode?
Well, I would like people to know that if they are either already on the journey to, healthier living, or even thinking about or wishing that they, could be, then just start anywhere. Every step is something to celebrate. it's celebrating those wins, celebrating those victories. And again, I say it's not, I just think as adults, we all think it's hard to step out of your comfort zone. You think you kind of need to be at a certain level to start something, and you don't. I mean, honestly, you can start from anywhere. And um, there's support out there. There's health coaches. There's lots of different things. So find something that you love to do, find support, and just hop on the journey because it's worth it.
Well, this is the only body we live in, right? And
Exactly.
I use a phrase. I've used it for a lot of years. I was a teacher for about 30 years, and kids were always saying, that scares me, or I can't do that. The word I can't was a big phrase all the time. And my comeback was always action cures fear. So if you take the first step, whatever the first step is, whether it's play a note on an instrument or first step in your walk or first time going to the gym or the first correct food that you put in your mouth, whatever, that's the first step. And then we take a second and a third. But that action eventually takes the fear away. And so I think we're both on the same journey when it comes to telling our stories and how we want to help people. I really think you've got two books here that you need to contemplate. The Peace is in the Pause
Okay.
and Food, Mood, and Gratitude. I love that.
Well,
I love that. I think
well,
that's
thank you.
yeah. So I'm sure there's listeners that would like to know how they could get in touch with you. So first of all, let's repeat your name for us,
Okay.
and then your
It's
website. And then if you give your email, if you'd like to share your email and phone number, and that'll also be in the description in this podcast, so you guys can go to that as well. But if you would do that for us, I'd appreciate it.
okay. It is my name is Johanna Gordon. My website is foodmoodgratitude.com. My email is the same. I just had like a little moment there when I was like, what is my email? My email is the same. You can go to the website. You can email me directly from the website. Um, and what else?
Okay. And do you want to give your phone number out so they could call you directly, or would you just rather than reach out?
Sure. Yeah. No, you can email me. You can call me directly and set up that consultation. It is 325-642-4068.
Okay. Well, these will be on this description of this podcast, and I encourage the listeners out there today to contact Johanna and have a conversation with her, and at least find out if this is what's good for you and how it could help you if you're having problems in the health world, and or you want to learn how to change your habits with eating, and maybe even change your habits in the way you think. Just learning how to have more gratitude in life and to be more positive and have a better mood, and just look for curing action and getting out of this fear factor that sometimes a lot of people get caught up in, no matter where we're coming from. But listen, I've had a great time talking with you. I wish you much success in your practice and helping people. And I know you're one of these folks that want to help a lot of people improve their way of life and to become healthier and live longer, more productive lives. Thanks for being with us today.
Well, Bob, thank you very much. I have enjoyed all of our conversations, and I appreciate your invitation to be here today. Thank you.
Well, folks, thank you for joining us today on the Bob Priest Show of Life. We hope you have enjoyed this and have learned a few things and met a new friend out in the world of podcast land. Uh, I'll be back on again next week with a new guest and some new information. Have a great day.